To call the Agricultural, Energy, and Environment Committee to order this morning, and we have two bills on the agenda today with some amendments also, so it might be helpful if you have your device, but we also have paper copies. So we'll start with our Sergeant of Arms. Thank you guys for serving us today. Brian Devon, Rod Fuller, Dwight Green, Mike Harris, and Chris Moore. Thank you so much for being here. We also have some pages to recognize today. We'll start with Lindsay Cabral. She is from Clinton and sponsored by Senator Jackson. Bobby Kroom is from Raleigh, and he is sponsored by Senator Chaudhary. Jahi Desai is from Rocky Mount, and I'm pleased to sponsor Jahi. I'm also pleased to sponsor Damone Frazier from Nashville. Lucy Griffin is from Asheboro and is sponsored by Senator Craven. Caroline Holland is from Clinton and is sponsored by Senator Jackson. Kashav Patel is from Raleigh and is sponsored by Senator Chaudhary. And then Clara Tanner from Carthage, sponsored by Senator McGinnis. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you have a great week and learn a whole lot. So we will get started with the first bill that's on the agenda, which is House Bill 600, the Regulatory Reform Act. And Senator Sanderson will be presenting this and the amendments. Sorry.
Thank you, Senator Barnes. Good morning. I think that we're getting close to the end of a very long process with reg reform, and I just to be totally honest, there's two or three still more short, small amendments that we will be adding probably when this bill goes to judiciary. So if you don't hear yours today in the amendment, then just rest assured that we do have it, and we just ran out of time. Even though we gave a deadline last Friday at 5 o'clock, yesterday and Monday and Tuesday, we were still getting requests for regulatory reform. There's a lot of regulatory reform out here that's needed. But anyway, we're going to, Madam Chair, I would like to send forth an amendment that they have.
Does everyone have the amendment? Okay. You're going to explain the amendment?
Yes. And
then we'll vote on that.
Okay, the amendment is H600 ABR 32 version 8. So we're going to go over the changes that we have made since we presented the bill. That's what the amendment is. I know it's a fairly involved amendment, but it's not rewriting the bill at all. It's just adding to it and making some clarifications in different sections of the bill. So just bear with us. Staff is going to help me if I get bogged down. Just want to go through what the provisions in the amendment are. The first provision removes the option in Section 2 to submit a coastal area stormwater application to either the DEQ Washington or Wilmington Regional Office. The only full-time stormwater permit engineer in the Washington office has promised that he will resign if we bring this increased workload to his section. And so we no longer have an option at this point to be able to go to Wilmington or Washington. What our goal is to bring both of those, bring some equity to both of those division offices and try to see if we can't get the one that's a little bit lagging behind up to par with the rest, with the other one. So that's what Section 2 does. Section 3 has been revised to no longer prohibit cities and counties from changing rates, fees, and charges to property owners who retain all their stormwater on site due to concerns expressed by the Department of the Treasury. That's a pretty involved explanation as far as what the Treasury had what they gave to us. Senator Woodard, thank you for helping us work through that portion of this. Section 6 has been modified to correct the name of spotted sea trout and clarify that subpart does not apply to persons holding a commercial fishing license when they're engaged in recreational fishing. We had used the names of the fish that we were had put out to try and help their numbers, and we missed some of the names. We used names from long ago instead of what they're called now. So that's what that section 6 does. Section 7.1 establishes the timeline for the approval or denial of water quality certifications. It should help Equitrans obtain a 401 certification for the MVP Southgate project in a much more timely manner, which is one of our primary goals. Section 7.2 gives the Environment Management Commission the authority to develop, adopt, modify, and evoke effluent standards for limitations after DEQ has obtained EPA approval. So there's a process that we have to work through that. If DEQ gets the approval that they hope they'll get, then this one will come into effect. Section 7.3 directs the Environmental Management Commission to study the narrative standard for toxic substances and temperature established in 15A NCAC 02B-0208 all the way back to 1976, and report back to the Joint Legislative Commission on Government Operations no later than April 1st, 2024. I think that's long past due for that to be updated, and so we're going to take that on. Section 8 is modified to remove new language in the PCS that restricts the use of shallow draft dredging funds, and we will be replacing that with some other language. Section 8.5 is new, and it requires DEQ to adopt new rules for the use of the shallow draft dredging funds. I think I just repeated myself. Section 10.5 is a new section that requires DEQ to include the statutory or regulatory authority for each condition it places in a permit. If they're going to deny a permit, we just want them to point to the place that is giving them the ability to deny or approve. Section 11 is modified to remove non-point source contributions from the modeling consideration. Section 12 has been revised to agreed upon language established by the pork industry and DEQ. And you've done a pretty good job when you get those two groups on the same page. But we feel like that we've come a long way, and that's where they are. Section 13 has been changed to grandfather all local governments, like the town of Wilson, which have established nutrient banks for third-party sales. You know that this original bill eliminated that the only place that the exchange of nutrient banks could be was to either other cities or other counties, but not to private individuals. We have grandfathered those in that currently have defined banks that are operating under the law the way that they should be. Section 13.5 is a new section that shortens the permitting time and clarifies the pumper truck fees that are charged for pumper trucks. Section 22.5 is identical to Senate Bill 315 that passed the Senate. It provides counties and towns from regulating certain online marketplaces. Section 28.5 is a new section that limits the use of plastic pipe in building for which the top occupied floor exceeds 75 feet in height. Section 33 has been modified so that it now applies to revenues allocated by the 911 board under GS 143B-1406. Section 7.2 gives, I got two that are the same.
Sorry. I'm on the last page.
That's the last page. Okay. And I think my trusty sidekick here tells me that's the last page. That's the amendment. Kyle, did we leave out some things?
Senator Sanderson, there is one piece that you missed, and this is on page 9, line 29 of the amendment. It just deletes some language in the system development fee that seemed to conflict with the purpose. Essentially, the section that's currently in the PCS says system development fee can include X, and then there's also language that says it does not include X, and so this just deletes that seemingly conflicting language.
Thank you, Kyle. And again, I thank all of our staff for the work they've done on this piece of legislation. If there are any questions about the amendments, we'll be glad to take them, and I will let our competent staff help answer them. So, Madam Chair, that's the explanation of the amendment.
Thank you, Senator
Ask for your
Sanderson.
approval.
Are there any questions on the amendment? Seeing none, Senator McGinnis has moved for the a favorable on the amendment. So we will, all those in favor for the amendment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Okay, so now we're back to the bill as amended. Any, you want to explain more on that?
No, we're going to just, I think we did it.
Okay, so we had a couple meetings on the language of the bill, the PCS. So we will go ahead and take any further questions that anybody may have on the PCS for House Bill 600 as amended. Senator Hunt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had some questions from my small towns about charging stormwater fees for already existing properties, and they are concerned that if they can't raise the fees from the stormwater, they will have to raise other fees on their homeowners. So is that what the amendment does? Is it prevent that from
Senator Sanderson?
happening?
Thank you, Senator Hunt. Kyle, will you help clarify that?
Kyle, go ahead.
Thank you. So the amendment, I believe you're referring, Senator Hunt, to Section 3. There was in the PCS a prohibition on imposing rates, fees, or charges for stormwater. The amendment removed that from the city and the county piece, so that's out of the bill now.
Are there any other questions from the committee? Do we have the sign-up sheet? Okay. So we do have a few speakers signed up for this bill. We'll start at the top with Charles Wilkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can everyone hear me okay?
And please limit your comments to 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
My name is Charles Wilkins. I'm a lawyer in Raleigh and with Broughton, Wilkins, Sugg, and Thompson. We represent the North Carolina Board of Massage and Bodywork Therapy. And as an attorney for the board, a lot of what I do is investigate and prosecute before the board complaints and misdoings out in the field. A lot of that has been dealing recently in the last 5 or so years with illicit massage businesses that are actually fronts for human trafficking, sex trafficking, and labor trafficking. We have hundreds of these complaints, and I would say in every jurisdiction that you represent, there's an illicit massage business going on there in some way. What our concern is Section 21A on the original bill on page 18 has been added to exempt reflexology from licensure by the Massage and Bodywork Therapy Board. This would be a very difficult situation for the board and for the state if if reflexologists are exempt, in that there would be no one doing what we do, which is investigate and prosecute illicit businesses. This same bill has already passed the House. That portion of the 600 has passed the House and is currently in the Senate Rules Committee in House Bill 392. This was added to the House Bill 600 at the very last minute, just before it passed the House. And I would ask that you consider having Section 21A removed from this bill, because it will adversely affect the job of the board to combat human trafficking. You're going to hear from two people who are reflexologists the board has nothing against reflexology or reflexologists. We are hoping that by continuing to license them, that we can continue our battle against human sex and labor trafficking, and appreciate your support.
Senator Sanders, you want to speak to that?
Thank you, sir, for bringing that to our attention. And just to show you how efficient we are, we've already removed that section. That came over in the original version of the House, and it's not in the current budget of our PCS.
Thank you, Senator Sanderson. So we have other speakers, and I would just advise that if you're speaking to this point, that you may speak, but it's not in this bill. The next one is Cynthia Hill.
Thank you, and I am speaking on this point. While we're grateful that massage is I'm Cynthia Hill. I'm with the North Carolina Reflexology Association. And while we are grateful for the job that the massage board does with massage therapists, reflexology is a completely different animal. In 2000, when the massage law was instated, General Statute 90-624 stated that those therapies that were intended to reflect or to manipulate the human energy field were exempt from licensure. That statute has not been changed. However, the guidelines of the massage board have been. It looks to us as if they are overstepping, that their guidelines are more important than the general statutes. It is important to note that never has an ARCB, that is the American Reflexology Certification Board, never has any of our people ever been connected with nefarious activity of any kind. Not only is that true within the state, it is true within the nation. We have a very distinctly different effect on individuals. We don't work with naked people. We don't want to. We affect the feet, the hands, the face, the outer ears. It is meant to manipulate. If I've helped your neck because I worked with your hand, that was energy work. It's like bark over here, bite over there. Thank you so much for your consideration. We were unaware that this was removed from the bill, but we do want to set the record straight that we are a legitimate group of body workers, and our purpose is to help make North Carolinians much healthier. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Phaedra Neely. You'll state your name and any organization that you're with. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Phaedra Neely, and thank you for having us. Did not realize that we had been taken out of the bill, so having a moment. I am a nationally certified reflexologist, and I've had my practice in North Raleigh for 20 years. It's called Soul Journey Reflexology. And I wish with all my soul to see reflexology survive in North Carolina. I work with 4 massage therapists, so we get on great. They do massage and I do reflexology, and they have no interest in doing reflexology. I have no, with all due respect, interest in doing massage. What Charles is proposing would entail that all future reflexologists would have to go to massage school, get their license, and do their continuing education. When we have our own schools, get our own national certification, and do our own continuing education. As Cynthia Hill said, there have never been any nefarious activities by any reflexologist. And I sincerely hope that you may consider adding us back into this bill, because North Carolinians need more ways to balance and relax rather than have them taken away. Again, please help us see reflexology not only live in North Carolina, but to thrive in North Carolina. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And the last person who signed up is Catherine Ambrosini.
Hello, my name is Catherine Ambrosini. Thank you all for your time and allowing us to speak on this, though we have been taken from the bill. I'm a nationally board certified reflexologist in the state. I've been practicing for a little over 4 years, almost 5 now. I would like to just point out that we do have our own individual guidelines. There's only about 48 of us in the state who are nationally board certified. We take this incredibly seriously. We have been striving and working very closely with representatives and senators, so thank you very much for encouraging the education and standards and ethics of our field to be the highest in the country, and we're very proud of that. So we would like to continue our right to work in the state and also encourage your support in helping us do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the committee on the bill as amended? Yes, Senator Sanderson.
Let me just address what the speakers have been talking about. You know, sometimes it's a bill is a little too complicated to put into a regulatory reform bill, but that bill is still alive and active in House Bill 392. It's currently in rules, which means it's eligible for the rest of this session and is also eligible for next session. So just to clear that up for you guys.
Thank you, Senator Sanderson. I think we're ready for a motion for this. Okay, thank you. Senator McGinnis moves that the PCS to House Bill 600 as amended be rolled into a new committee substitute, and that committee substitute be given a favorable report, unfavorable to the original bill, with a re-referral to Senate Judiciary, and to authorize staff to make any necessary technical and conforming changes. Is that your amendment? Your motion. Thank you. Thank you, Senator McGinnis. All those in favor of that? Aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Sanderson. And next on the agenda is House Bill 192, the Wildlife Resources changes. And Representative Adams, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is the agency bill. There are two amendments, I believe.
Okay.
So let's, excuse me?
They're in one document, I'm sorry.
Okay. We'll go ahead and take the amendments first, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Does everyone have a copy of the amendment? One amendment that has 2 sections to it, and I believe Senator Sanderson will explain the first section. We've got our papers on.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. One of the things that is in House Bill 192 was a request from the Wildlife Resources Commission to keep $100,000 of the shallow draft inlet dredging fund for their work that they do on the boat ramps and stuff that Wildlife Resources provide for all the citizens of North Carolina. That's a little bit out of the purview of what this fund was set aside for. I'm not sure that we could do that without changing the overall parameters of the shallow draft dredging fund. And so what I would like to do is take that out of this bill, and I have talked with Wildlife and promised them that we will try to find additional appropriations for them to help in their maintenance of all of the wildlife ramps that are across the state of North Carolina. And I understand that they have in the past worked with local governments to share the cost of those, but local governments, like a lot of, are having trouble finding extra funds themselves. So we're going to work with Wildlife to try and find those funds in another place.
And then Section 3 is regarding the unmanned aircraft. It's really just clarifying language because there were 2 different views and interpretations of how this would affect drones and fishing. So it's just clarifying language that it'll make it a Class 1 misdemeanor for any person to fish or hunt with an unmanned aircraft system. Are there any questions on the amendments? Seeing none. You have,
I'll just say that the amendments are agreeable to the commission, so we ask for your support.
okay, so we will vote on the amendment now. Senator Newton moves for favorable on the amendment. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, no. Thank you, and the amendment passes, so we're back to the bill as amended, Representative.
Well, along with those changes, the agency bill is basically the things that we've asked for here are the most important thing, in my opinion, is the issue with chronic wasting disease. And one of the elements in that is the ability for the executive director to issue a proclamation. And with chronic wasting disease, it's been a very unusual situation. It's not a linear spread of the disease. It is jumping around. We had our first 7 positives in the Yadkin County area, and then suddenly we had a positive east of Fayetteville. So we had to establish a primary surveillance area quickly and a secondary surveillance area. So we don't know where it's going to pop up next, but we need to have that ability for the executive director to issue a proclamation at any given time. Other than that, I'll stand to answer any questions you have about the bill itself.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any questions from the committee? Is there anyone signed up to speak on this bill? I don't see any others. Okay. Do we have a motion for approval? Okay, Senator Proctor, and I need to find my paper that has the language. Norm, do you have it? Okay, Senator Proctor moves that House Bill 192 as amended be rolled into a new committee substitute, and that the committee substitute be given a favorable report, unfavorable to the original bill, with a re-referral to Senate rules, and to authorize staff to make any necessary technical and conforming changes. Is that your motion, Senator Proctor? Thank you. All those in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Okay, that passes, and thank you, Representative Adams. And seeing that we have completed our agenda, this meeting is adjourned.
Well done, Clampett.